So, I want to
dance.
Whoa.
I was just throwing a Cabbage Patch. You could throw a Digital Underground reference earlier today, but I can't do it. I can't do a Cabbage Patch.
You can't do the Humpty Dance. There's not your chance. Sunday Drive.
Oh, damn it! You button hooked me. You button hooked.
All right.
You dirty bastard.
I got you.
Yeah.
Finally got you.
Well, I've been leading with my chin all day. Which brings up an interesting question. If you had to bet, I know you're not really a betting man, but you're a man of principle.
I am.
And you'll stand by whatever you say. I want to know this. If you were to bet, who would have more passing yards in 2018? Would it be Tyrod Taylor or AJ McCarron?
See, that's an interesting conversation because neither of them, I mean, they're both said to be the starter by their coach, right? Hugh Jackson's saying that Tyrod's the starter.
Yeah, and if it is a victory, none of those guys is going to probably touch 4,000 yards if we assume the pattern holds for both of them.
Yeah.
Like neither one of them are going to touch $4,000. But who do you think would have? Because I think you go to Jackson, who has, you go to Cleveland, who has way more weapons.
Oh yeah.
So many more weapons to choose from, and he could easily put up 4,000 yards over there. But then you come back to Brian Daboll. You're not going to get hired by Nick Saban unless you agree to run the ball first.
Right.
Sean McDermott's a defensive head coach.
Yeah.
He's going to want to run the ball. So McCarron's almost playing behind to start the season.
Yeah. That's an interesting conversation. I'll take McCarron.
You want to take McCarron?
I'll take McCarron on that bet.
I'll take Tyrod?
Yeah. So, the weapons in Cleveland are dangerous, right?
Yes.
There's a ton of weapons in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, name me a Hugh Jackson coached quarterback that's ever been successful.
Carson Palmer?
I forgot about him.
Would you consider Andy Dalton successful?
I mean, he's held a job for a while, right? It's the same, would you call Alex Smith successful in San Francisco, right? He had the job forever.
After he got coaching, like, you go through 6 defensive coordinators in 5 years, you're going to get... Well, how can you develop any kind of consistency with anything? There, you know what I mean? He was able to go through that, survive through that, though. I'm just saying that if I had to pick, I think what pushes this bet is that if the rookies commit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Baker could beat Tyrod. I don't think he's going to right away. Right? They put all their eggs in the Baker Mayfield basket. Tyrod's just there to give him a year. Right?
That could even be another bet. That's pretty interesting. Who starts first?
Oh, Tyrod.
Baker or Josh?
Tyrod will start first.
No, I mean,
this is rehashing the Josh Allen, AJ McCarron conversation from last week. That's what this is.
No, we're not doing that because we're including. No, we're not.
Which team starts the rookie quarterback?
Yeah, which
first?
team starts the rookie quarterback first? That's a tough one, right? Because you've already gone one. As a Cleveland Browns, you've already gone 1-31. If you happen to lose 4 straight, who cares?
Right.
At this point, you got to remember too. I mean, Bill Walsh started 5-22. I'm not saying Hugh Jackson is.
No.
But what I'm saying is, to get your program started, if you have patience as an owner, it can't get much worse.
No.
It really can't.
So at least on Tyrod's going to be short.
You really think so?
Yeah, because you drafted Baker #1 overall. Hugh Jackson's fighting for his job, right? I mean, this is the bullet in the gun. He's got 1 season left, and this is it.
Jackson already drafted his guy in Kaiser, who's gone.
Right.
So this is more of a GM move. So Jackson doesn't need to put him in. And the fact that they kept Jackson in the dark throughout the whole draft period, they wouldn't let him know.
Jackson is like that cheerleader you dated in high school that you couldn't tell anything to. She would just go peck her way around the rest of the cheerleaders and everybody would know about it. Are you picturing Hugh Jackson as a cheerleader? I'm probably going to come up with a better analogy.
No, I'm just thinking of cheerleaders I've dated. Point being is this. Tyrod, you got Landry, you got Gordon, you got Njoku, you have Hyde, and you have a third down back in Duke Johnson. He has so many weapons at his disposal to throw for 4,000 yards. Now, how could he not be successful coming out of the gate?
Well, I mean, it's easy for me because I took AJ McCarron. It's because Tyrod isn't. I mean, Tyrod is a guy that people love, right? They like him a lot, right? Very likable person. Probably understands the game very well. I mean, he's kept a job for this long. I have to assume his understanding of the game is
he's
really
not
solid.
your typical quarterback as far as being a diva. That's what I think I like about Tyrod.
Yeah. Is he going to embrace the fact that he went to yet another team that drafted his replacement? I mean,
yeah.
You know,
he was in a lose-lose from the start. You know?
Yeah, he's just trying to make the best out of his situation. And to be honest with you, he and his agent did about as good a job as they could do with the situation that they had put themselves in. Right? They signed with Buffalo on a creative deal initially that if Tyrod were to start a certain number of games or play a certain percentage of snaps, that his contract would void the final year and he would be a free agent. That was a really creative deal. Mm-hmm. And he and his agent put them in that position with Buffalo to just get strung along for a little bit, right? Because he was never good to really hit the free agent market and be anything, right?
Yeah.
And is that because of the systems that Buffalo had in place? Yeah, you know, I think that had a lot to do with it. Unfortunately, McCarron's going to be subject to the same system and the fact that it's going to be give the ball to Shady.
Yeah.
So, I think McCarron throws for more yards because I think he plays for more games. So, when I look at it, right, I don't think Tyrod makes it to week 6.
When's their bye?
Because
that's always going to be an interesting take.
Well, I mean, that depends. Are we talking about Cleveland's bye? Because every team has a bye the week they play Cleveland.
It was coming.
I don't know.
I'm just saying if you could find it real quick. We've already determined. I mean, we have, not anybody else. Just the confines of this sportage. We said that the leash on AJ McCarron is pretty much 10 games because their bye week's 11.
Right.
Depending on how they're doing, if they're 7-3, you still ride McCarron out.
Mm-hmm.
If they're 6-4, you would evaluate what they are in the division.
Right.
If they're 5-5, if they're 5-5 but 2-0 in the division, maybe you can reevaluate it depending on how you're jockeying for. If you're 5-5 and all your wins have come against AFC teams, I mean that's a huge thing as well.
They have a week 11 bye.
They also have a week 11
Week
bye.
11 bye.
So this is actually a pretty fair bet.
Yeah, it is.
So
it couldn't get more fair. Actually,
if we come into that, I think that what determines if the rookies start is the record at the bye. I think it's always been a litmus test for me.
See, and I look at it this way because I'm willing to bet that AJ McCarron plays more games because Hugh Jackson is gonna pull Tyrod. It's gonna have to happen.
You think?
Yeah.
I think he likes Tyrod.
Well, yeah, he might like a lot. Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, does he like having a job? I mean, you gotta.
You're in that fraternity forever, dude. Yeah. He'll get an OC job somewhere.
Sure, but
it doesn't matter.
The fact of the matter is that if he got to pick his guy in Kaiser and it went sideways, and the GM says no, we're going to do it my way, he's going to have to get in the game eventually. And unless the Browns start 4-2, if the Browns start 2-4, Tyrod's out of there. He'll be gone by week 6. If they're not at 500 by week 6, it'll be game over. You don't put that many weapons on the offense.
It's not dependent on his play?
No. You don't put that many weapons on the offense and then deal with a losing record.
What if they're 2-4 and have the worst defense in the league?
See, that's tough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's always these X factors we can come up with, but I understand from bare bones, from minimal. Do you think he's going to be?
If I were in Vegas, and there was an over/under and it was 6, well, week 7, the start of week 7 was the push, right? For over/under week 7, I'd bet the under.
I mean,
start under.
But the thing is too, as far as Bills fans go, because we know how they are. We're victim of it as well. If Tyrod, with all of those weapons, starts out hot, and McCarron does not, we're gonna have to hear about it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, oh my God, look at he's a Pro Bowl quarterback.
But I think the expectation of McCarron is going to be a lot less than the expectation of Tyrod.
Because McCarron throws for 230, 240, that's a big week for him.
Yeah. Yeah, admittedly, he's going to throw the ball 23, 24 times a game. They're going to try and control it on the ground. And that's because look at the wide receiver weapons that he has. He doesn't.
Yes.
You know, like it couldn't be more apparent that they want to run the football. So if that's going to be the game plan, okay, that's cool, right? But that means Tyrod needs to be successful, like needs to be significantly more successful.
So basically the message you're telling me is that as a Bills fan, get ready for some boring games.
Yeah, I think so,
I'm
right?
good with that. I can win. I'm fine winning defensively. Ravens did it. They have 2 rings. I don't care.
You really just indirectly make a Trent Dilfer reference.
You're welcome.
No, that's my quarterback you're talking about.
Okay, TL.
You indirectly make a Trent Dilfer reference.
That's my quarterback.
When I have AJ McCarron.
That's my teammate. Actually, I didn't plan that. I was just talking about the defenses. Winning defensively is ugly.
It is.
That's all I was saying.
It is.
I'm not as creative as you think I am. To make a Trent Dilfer reference. I made a Joe Flacco reference too.
All right, so let's say McCarron starts 10 weeks.
Okay.
First 10 weeks. Touchdowns, interceptions, yardage. Where is he?
10 weeks?
10 weeks.
I think he's hovering around 2,500 yards.
Okay.
20 touchdowns, 7 picks.
20 touchdowns?
Yeah.
That's
Low?
That's a lot. You think he's going to throw 2 touchdowns a game?
I think there will be games he'll throw 3, and there will be games he'll throw none.
All right, so
I'm at 2,500, 20 and 7.
I'm thinking McCarron's at 2,250. He's going to be at 2,250. He's going to have 12 touchdowns. He's going to have 9 interceptions.
This is very easy math for you because it's 10. Anything divided by 10.
Yeah, quick math.
If he has a stat line of 2,200, 12 and 9, he won't make it to week 11. Depending on the Bills' record.
That's where I think he's going to be. You look at the backfield, and they built this team for a first-year starter to depend on the ground. You look at the wide receiver core; they certainly didn't do a lot of revision there. So that's what I think they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it's going to be. And even if you start Allen, I don't think it gets much better, right? Look at Allen's downfield completion percentage. It was terrible.
Who's he throwing to?
Who cares? Who's he throwing to in Buffalo? Name me one receiver in Buffalo who would get past a DB.
Curly.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Ray McLeod. Get used to these names, people.
Oh my
Get
God.
used to these names. Why do I have better stats than McCarron and he's your boy?
Because I'm realistic. 20 touchdowns that you think he's going to throw for 2 touchdowns?
You think 20 touchdowns is a lot for 10 games? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I've been a Bills fan for the last 35 years. Believe me, I know what optimistic sounds like.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. When Rodgers is 32 at week 10.
I know, right?
And Wentz had like 30 something, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing lights out, man. It's MVP status. If he has less than 20 touchdowns, I think he gets pulled.
Really?
Yes.
No, not with this wide receiver group.
Depending on the record. I'm just saying. It doesn't matter what your receivers are, okay? Haven't you been in the AFC East? Brady's had nothing but a 7-yard passing tree and no receivers. So
the Bills have only wide receivers who can run 7 round.
And for those of you that are listening, going, he had Randy Moss. Yeah, okay. So did Dante Culpepper. Look up the stats when Culpepper had Moss and Brady had Moss. Culpepper's stats are better.
Culpepper would just throw the ball up. He's like, I just threw it over the middle. Randy went got it.
He's averaging the same touchdowns, receptions, and yards with Brady and Culpepper. That's the only time you're ever going to hear Brady and Culpepper's name at the same time.
Yeah.
Now I got to do the stats and post them because no one's going to believe me.
It's true, though.
It is.
It's true.
Scary true.
You really think McCarron's going to throw 20 touchdowns? See, I just think that's optimistic. How many interceptions did you say?
You think he's going to start 10 games? I think that's optimistic.
End of segment. We're done. That's it.